As a child, I was exposed to the football world at a very young age by my parents and my friends. Growing up to become a massive Real Madrid fan, staying up till 5 a.m. on school nights to tune into Champions League football, the sport has been an incredibly enriching experience for fans like myself who would go on and ramble for hours about the sport. However, this experience changed in 2019 for fans like myself when video assistant referee or VAR was formally written into the game's laws. This brought about a lot of controversy, which, of course, knowing our generation, manifested itself in the form of memes. But when we look into what VAR really is, we can deduce that it is a form of technology that has revolutionized the football law. Here we sit in 2023, and the football world is taking clear-cut steps to technologically revolutionize itself and its laws. But what about the real law? What about the financial law, the criminal law, and the law that governs our society? What scope does technology have in revolutionizing this law and bringing change to it? And then comes the main question: how can technological advancements advance the legal system? Now, in the 2022-23 Football League seasons, the effect of VAR was rather profound, and at the end of the day, while there are split opinions on the subject, I wish to look at it from an analytical perspective and view how VAR affected football and how we can draw inspiration from this and change our legal systems. This is the 2022-23 Premier League table with a catch. This is the table if VAR did not exist. So as you can see, there are some position switches in the positions of the clubs. And yes, while some do argue that the fun of all the drama and all the controversy of the sport was incredibly lost, at the end of the day, decisions were fair. And technological advancement was certainly visible in the sport. But this is just the sports law, which is only a fraction of the law as a whole. Now, when it comes to this real law and the right for a person to defend themselves in a court of law, there exist three main concerns. Three concerns that I believe can be changed through the use of technology. But before we get into those three concerns, let me take you through these two images. You see, back before any of these technologies that I'm talking about were implemented, these sectors were rather vague and had some degree of error to it, or in other words, were somewhat erroneous. But however, technology did change that. VAR, for instance, increased referee decision accuracy from 95.6 to 99.35, or close to 100%. AI-enabled CCTV car parks decreased crime rates in the United Kingdom by nearly 37%. And that first picture was that of Do Not Pay, which is the first ever legal chatbot that was formally used in a court of law to resolve parking ticket disputes and is actually winning a significant number of them. But before we go into this relationship between technology and the law, we need to talk about how this all started. And that is through ROS, a software founded by Andrew Arruda. ROS aimed to combat the incredibly long legal research time involved in court cases and did so in an incredibly unique way. How ROS worked was through using artificial intelligence to scan case files and locate potential arguments and scope for implementing case law in order to win a case from the client side, which was incredibly revolutionary, especially for the time it was released, which was in the early 2000s to 2010. So judicial systems around the world have been subject to criticism for this very fact: slow research time and incredibly high legal research fees. And now, with technology on a stellar rise in our future as well, surely we can see it being implemented on a large scale to benefit the law. So, three flaws mentioned earlier are as follows. Number one, slow legal research time, which refers to the time spent on gathering the evidence, researching them, and also verifying them to get a very high degree of accuracy as well. Number two, incredibly high legal research fees, which involves the expenditure from the client's end as well as the firm's end going into the law case. And lastly, the slow progression of the legal industry with regards to other sectors in the economy. What we must understand, however, before we proceed with the argument, is the difference between us humans and the difference between a 1,000-line piece of code. And that is the intelligence factor. We have the ability to make deductions based on what we know, in that we are intelligent. we have the abilities to utilize and employ the knowledge that is bestowed upon us in order to make deductions and make reasonable arguments through the knowledge we have. In other words, we have a brain. However, the computer and the code cannot do this. The code simply processes the data it has and cannot really make any judgment based on it. Or in other words, the computer does not have a brain. But this is all changing through artificial intelligence. Now, with incredible volumes of data going into the system, close to 10,000 or even hundreds of thousands of lines of data going into and being input into the system in mass volumes, technology is being given the power to make deductions through historical trends it can analyze on its own in order to actually make a reasonable argument for its own deduction. Or in other words, now computers are finally getting brains and are being able to actually resemble humans in some way or the other. And that takes us to flaw number one, which is the slow resource gathering. Judicial systems around the world are being criticized every single day for incredibly slow decisions which take years or sometimes even decades to deliver. And this can be justified to some extent because of the fact that these court cases needed close to 100% accuracy. Because take a moment to comprehend the fact that the lives of people and the futures of individuals are on the line through wrong court decisions. So obviously we need that high degree of accuracy for which we cannot speed up the case. But there is an aspect of technology that I believe is crucial and definitely can reduce this time without compromising on that aspect of accuracy, and that is the convolutional neural network. Yes, I know there are a lot of lines in there, but what convolutional neural networks, or CNN for short, really come down to is the analysis of visual elements between those lines. You see, when we really see something for the first time, we generally go through how we've seen similar objects in the past and then try to deduce what that object resembles through past history in our head. That is exactly what the algorithm does. It goes through a series of these complex networks, digging through to find parameters that match exactly what the input image suggests, and then it successfully outputs an image which, as of now, has reached close to 90 to 95% accuracy that will increase certainly in the future. CNNs have been used in a wide variety of applications, ranging from autonomous driving in Teslas to object identification in football and for the offside rule to even our day-to-day lives in facial recognitions on a smartphone. And in my opinion, the next stage can definitely be the law. Tangible evidence, including that from arms and certain biometric aspects of a law case that really need to be reanalyzed in courts of law, can be fed through CNN algorithms in order to achieve high degrees of verification and in order to cut down that research time, which might take years in order to re-verify and recheck through multiple different people. Or in other words, even manually identified data that needs to go through other different people in order to be recalculated and reorganized can simply be done through this algorithm alone. Similar to how VAR does so in football by going through offside checks in order to recalculate and make sure referee decisions are accurate. And that takes us to flaw number two, which is the incredibly high legal research fees. The average cost of an attorney from us, the clients, at least, ranges from a few hundred to several $1,000s, and this is just dependent on the severity of the case. Now, as mentioned earlier, majority of the time spent by legal research associates goes into, you guessed it, legal research. Now, in fact, law firms have stated that nearly 15 hours per week, or in other words, a third of their time goes into this aspect of their work, which is the researching and finding of evidence. And this can clearly be cut down through the use of artificial intelligence. But what implication does that have on the cost? Well, legal firms spend close to a few thousand to several ten thousands of dollars on this aspect of their court cases, which is obviously a massive sum of money. However, through reusing complex algorithms that are not only reusable but also can be transferred from one application to another, legal firms can take advantage of this and reduce their costs on manual labor, and through consultation through other different technological firms to easily cut down on their expenditure from those several thousands to a few one-time $100 purchases. And that would translate to a reduced cost from the client's end as well. which would benefit especially financially deficient communities from third world countries who definitely do have to think twice before actually heading to a court of law and seeking justice. Now, with more global data available than ever, we have the ability to create more chatbot services, and not just for clients but also for the firms as well, in order to gather information, say about tax frauds, in order to get the information on the sum of tax and the punishments involved with the fraud, and at the end of the day, assist the financially deficient before they actually think into putting their savings in and getting into a court of law. Therefore, the artificial intelligence industry will have its own breakthroughs into the legal system. With artificial intelligence on its meteoric rise, surely we can see it being implemented into the legal system, right? After all, we need this hand-in-hand relationship between the two and them growing in order for the two relations to succeed hand-in-hand. And that brings us to our third floor, which is the progression of the legal industry. Well, in 2015, a PwC report had stated that nearly 94% of law firms had pledged to make the implementation of legal tech, which refers to any technology in general for the law, their main priority for 2016. But unfortunately, by 2019, and even now in 2023, barely any of these firms have actually pledged towards it. And obviously, while there are some external factors such as the COVID pandemic that have to be counted in, there are clearly scopes for technology to enter the legal system. With other sectors in the economy, such as the financial sector, the IT sector, the agricultural sector, the list goes on. All of these sectors have taken advantage of the AI boom, and the legal sector is running back, but not for long. Because in my opinion, sooner or later, the legal sector will be able to take advantage of different aspects of artificial intelligence, such as convolutional neural networks or chatbot services, such as our lovely oracle of ChatGPT. No, I'm not suggesting to use it, but at the end of the day, we can definitely utilize such software tools in order to benefit the legal sector. And at the end of the day, while I might be upset that my inner football love does contradict this due to me really wanting my rival teams to benefit less through the use of VAR, there is a side of me that is hopeful for the future of legal technology and how it can benefit through artificial intelligence and take inspiration from the football world. After all, our past, present, and very much so our future is so technologically dependent that it is about time that we implemented this aspect of our lives into the legal sector. As Harvey Specter rightly said, the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. So let us put in the effort in order to allow the legal sector to flourish and progress the legal sector with regards to our lives. Thank you very much.